Hello again. In this module, it's a very short module, I want to talk to you about effectiveness on teams. And although I've called this effectiveness on teams, I think this really has to do with effectiveness in general, in your work, in your school, actually in life. But I don't want to get too preachy on you, but I want to talk to you about elements of effectiveness. And so what I want to do is I want to introduce you to a model of personal effectiveness, how you as an individual can be effective on a team, and why it's important. So in this model of effectiveness, there are three elements. There's awareness, there's ability, and there's commitment. All sound very straightforward, and in a sense they are straightforward, but I want to talk to you about them a little bit because I think by focusing on them, I can help each of you be a bit more effective in your work on teams, and when you get to college and into the work life, if you keep these in mind, they will help you be effective on the job and in college as well. So let's look at each of these. Awareness. All right, it sounds simple, right? Awareness. I'm aware of things around me. It is, but there are a lot of dimensions to it. So just think again about our work on a team. What's it take? What do you have to be aware of on a team to be effective? Well, first, a team comes together as a group to accomplish a specific task. Do you know what that task is? Do you really know what that task is? Have you been paying attention to what is required for that? So just knowledge of the task. Are you aware of the skills of your teammates? Do you know what they're good at? Do you know what they're not good at? Do you know what you're good at? Honestly, do you know? Do you really understand what your abilities are? On this project that your team is put together for, do you know what is expected of you? How will you be graded? Do you know what your contribution is to be and what the team's contribution is to be? Do you know what the schedule is to getting it done? Do you know what you have to have done by what point? When each of the project reports are due? When the presentation is going to be due? Are you aware of your surroundings and the other time constraints that you have? I mean, if you're playing sports and music and have your other classes, are you aware of all the things all those demands on your time also, and how that it's now going to limit or moderate how much time you have here? So it is an obvious thing in one sense, but unless you pay attention to it, you can be unaware of a lot of things that will have a negative contribution to your effectiveness on a team. So awareness, what's required, what the project is. It really is kind of paying attention, but it also requires some reflection on what's going on with you and your schedule and in your life and in the lives of your teammates to know what's going on with them so that together you can work well. So awareness is the first element. The second element is called ability. Any task or project that your team's put together to do has a variety of different components to it. We already talked about in our little module on teamwork, you only put a team together when you have kind of a complex task that requires different skills and ability, and maybe it has to be done in such a time frame that an individual can't get it done by themselves. So ability has several dimensions as well. I'll call it the technical ability. Many of your projects will require some knowledge of math and science and ability to apply math and science to a problem. So certainly that's one ability. But there's also the ability to communicate. The ability to communicate within your team to make your team function well. Also the ability to communicate your idea of how you're going to solve this task in a written form and as a presentation, because many of the projects require that you write a report or do a presentation. And different people have different abilities to be in front of a group. Someone might be really good at the math, but they don't like standing up in front of a group. Someone else might like or thrive on being in front of a group, but they need help with the math. So the ability to communicate. The ability to get along with others and work well with others is something we shouldn't take for granted. We said on the module on teams, you don't have to be best friends, but you do have to respect each other, and you do have to learn to appreciate each other, what you can do, as well as maybe what you're not so good at. So ability has many dimensions, and within this idea of working on a team, you need to bring all of your abilities to bear. Now, it's also okay if you don't have an ability in a particular area. Every team should recognize that not everyone has the same abilities or in the same measure. So if you don't have an ability in, let's just say, making a presentation, make sure the team knows that. and make sure that you're doing the part that you have an ability in, whereas someone else is working to their abilities. We don't expect everybody to be good at everything. It's good to try to develop skills, obviously, but that's the whole point of a team, that there are different abilities that are brought, and you use those of each of the individuals to accomplish something that you couldn't have accomplished as quickly without that team. The third element is commitment. Commitment also has several aspects to it. First, if you don't know how to do something, are you willing to learn how to do it? Maybe your project requires that you have to figure out some geometric design, and you just don't like geometry. Well, are you willing to spend a little time to learn it? Are you willing to go ask and maybe ask a classmate for help? That's commitment. That's one level of commitment, being willing to do things and learn something. A project's going to take some time. Are you willing to put that time in? And I mean by that, something we've already said, you have other things going on in your life, other courses, you have sports or music, but you have all those distractions that come in too. In my house, it's computer games, it's music. And those are good. I mean, they're not bad. There's nothing wrong with those, but sometimes you have to put those aside if you've got this project work. So you have to be willing to commit the time to get it done. That's another aspect of commitment. Sometimes we have lots of good ideas, but sometimes that means it's hard to listen to what others have to say. So that's another area of commitment, being willing to listen to other people's ideas, not just listen, but to really consider them, to maybe give up. Are you willing to give up one of your ideas because someone else has a contribution that they can make? That can be difficult. Sometimes we really like our own ideas, and we're not willing to let someone else come up with one. As part of a team, I'm almost positive you'll have a time where you'll have to say, well, I had this idea, but the team felt that this other idea was better. And you need to have the commitment to say, that's okay for this. Sometimes you'll be asked to do things with the team that aren't your favorite things to do. Maybe writing part of a report, maybe doing some calculations, maybe developing some presentation materials. You have to be committed enough to make a contribution where it's not something that you're really fond of. And that's another aspect of this whole commitment idea. Sometimes you have to be willing to be a leader when you don't want to be a leader. You may feel that you have no business being a leader, but sometimes, maybe the smartest person is just hard to get along with, and maybe the friendliest person just is too ditzy. I don't know. And sometimes it's a person who you wouldn't think of. It needs to step up and say, well, I get along with everyone. I respect people. Maybe then it'll be your turn to step up and be a leader. Are you committed enough to do that? So again, commitment has a number of dimensions to it also. So our little model of effectiveness: awareness, ability, and commitment. If you approach your tasks, the projects, your teamwork, recognizing that you need all three of those, you need to know what the project is, what's required, what the schedule is. You have to be aware of your ability, and you have to bring your ability to that project. You have to spend the time, put in the effort. When you have all three of those, you can be an effective team member and effective as an individual. I hope that helps you, and I'll see you next time.